We think startup is about heroism, one person. You have to collaborate and cooperate with various set of people. And if you see at the age of 19 or somebody at 25 becoming millionaire, billionaire, their resources would have been very restricted. This is where the creativity comes in. The corporate jungle, there is a space for everyone. All you need to do is you need to identify the power. You have to identify that uniqueness, the distinctness. If zebra can survive every day against the predator,
so true.
It is a self-belief, basically. The confidence. The most powerful thing is the grit part of it. Despite adversity, despite being pushed back, you need to get up and try again. That formula is called Maya. The most advanced and yet acceptable.
Hello and welcome to CXO Speak, brought to you by Zawter, where we bring to you insights, conversations, interviews with the best in the industry. I'm Jyoti Harsh, and in our studio today, we have with us Mr. Asif Shakeel, a branding and communications leader and an expert on the Zawter panel. A true creative powerhouse with more than 24 years of experience in 360 communication and brand strategy. Having worked for some of the top agencies, Asif has led campaigns for some of the biggest names in the industry, including Maruti Suzuki, Ford, Huawei, and Perfetti, delivering innovative solutions that bridge creativity, technology, and culture. Asif is all about driving change, be it business, communication, or branding, using creative thinking. At his professional venture Kickhead, Asif is on a mission to empower young and growing businesses using his creativity and experience. In our conversation with Asif today, he shares his insights on the importance of creative thinking, the true essence of branding, and how each business can create a niche for itself in today's times. Join me in this insightful conversation with Asif Shakeel. Hello and welcome to CXO Speak. We have with us a very special guest tonight, and Mr. Asif Shakeel, one of our experts on the Zawter panel, a veteran in the branding and communications domain. Welcome, Mr. Asif.
Thanks for having me. Such an honor here. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is all ours. Yeah. Asif, you've worked with reputed names, agencies, Dentsu, Wavemaker, and during that stint, you've worked for various names. Big brands, icons, stalwarts like Google, Maruti. It's a stellar journey of 24 years, I believe, and it's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you today. Thank you so much for joining us on CXO Speak and agreeing to come. Asif, all of us at Zawter, we have this. We do know how deeply passionate you are about driving transformation and change through creativity. Yeah. So, I've read about your journey so much. You've done such wonderful branding projects. Yeah. So, how has it been? Has it been that it was always creativity that was driving you, or was it that during this journey, as you evolved as a professional, you got to know that creativity is not just a tool, but that's what is the emotional connect that you have with the work that you do?
Yeah. I have to take you back to a time leap. My father was in Indian Forest Service, and he was in MP cadre or the Chhattisgarh cadre. So we've lived most of our life there. My growing up days have happened. Though I'm a UPite, I'm born in Banarsi. I'm a Banarsi. But 2-3 months after born, I was here in Jabalpur and then various parts of Chhattisgarh, MP. Now, growing up there, I was in a public school called Rachma College. And we had this thing called reading time. Right? And in that reading time, so when you're growing up, I mean, you really don't enjoy that much. So what was the most shiniest thing which was available at that time was brand equity.
That's interesting. Okay.
It was like glossy and very attractive to
Okay.
look at.
Okay.
So that was the starting point when I was in, say, class 8 or something. Picked up, instead of anything else, I would read that. And there I saw Piyush talk, I mean, a lot of articles about Piyush Pandey, Santosh Desai and all these. But Piyush Pandey was somebody, I mean, I would say that he's given, my second birth has happened through him, though despite he is my hero and he might not know about all this, but he was an alternate to my dad. Very casual,
Wow.
mustache, shirt out, laugh loud, and my dad is an Aligarhian, proper, prim proper,
Yes.
all that.
Quite the contrast.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of, so that's where it, that was the first place where I kind of realized that this is what probably I would like to do, or I had something in mind like that, because the place was such that, I mean, if I would say that I want to be an advertising, people would not understand it. They thought it was filmmaking or it's the Indian cinema.
True.
Like, that's what my father thought. I've been quite a quiet child. I had, I was too little when I got really, my father kind of, by mistake, it so happened that he kind of hit me on my back with a slipper. But
Yeah.
he was
just
not
lightly.
intending, but it got right at my back.
Oh.
So I had like a seized kind of growing up days, and it so happened that I became very quiet. But when I was quiet, so that means I was participating in the sense of listening a lot, right?
Absorbing.
So
A lot of absorbing.
and there were things that I had some point of view, but it's just that I was at that point like holding myself back, so I was processing it all inside. So that's where was the another thing that an urge came in, which wanted to express also. Right? I mean, this is all I could process it much later. I didn't really thought of it, but now that I've turned 50 now, so when I look back and think of it, how it happened. So these were the few things. Other than that, the third very crucial thing, while I wanted, this was the only thing which I thought that I wanted, because other things were more of imposed on me. Like the choice of my career, what I wanted to do, all that was. So finally, when it didn't take off, my father just, I told him it's not happening. He said, okay, do it what you want. It was that easy.
That easy.
But when I went for it, the amount of rejections that happened in my life, it's so phenomenal that I just couldn't believe that there could be, I mean, I never thought of that world. Coming to the corporate side of it, I mean, I'm just saying, after my MBA from Indore, I came to Delhi, I went to Mumbai. 45 agency, 45. Probably the time was also, it was Y2K, it was 99, 2000 that I'm talking about. So it was a certain situational thing was there, because what all that was available was either do COBOL coding, that was it. I didn't want it. I was absolutely clear. I want to be in advertising. I want to work with Piyush Pandey.
Wow.
So again, when that amount of resistance which is there, to right, or your resources are so less, I didn't have a definition of creativity that like but what I understood at that stage was that when you have lack of resources, there is a problem solving tool which is
That comes in.
creativity.
Wow.
So this was not like in this kind of a definition to me, but I kind of understood it, and I did some very radical things, like the CV that I wrote to it was it was like there was no name, right? And
Okay,
some
no name on
no
the CV.
name, no
Okay.
name, some shairi, some
Wonderful.
some
Okay.
pictures, which basically, and it basically said that there's a dark horse which is wants to go a lone ranger and wants to become a lion. While I was working for an FMCG company, Pepsi operations, and I shot it to some 5 odd creative directors at that point of time. You won't believe, by 6 o'clock in the evening, I shot it around noon, lunchtime, and by 6 o'clock I had call from 5 creative directors. None of that happened, still nothing happened. But what really happened was a conversation started, and there were few fine gentlemen who gave me certain links or to the networking effect. It got me the first break in advertising.
Wonderful.
Yeah, in
Wonderful.
Delhi. Yeah.
So that's how it all happened, and everything fell in place.
Yeah.
It's
Don't
so,
you think?
I don't know. It's also inspiring when I'm listening this from you, because we never know when creativity sort of comes to us, and we are able to do what we don't even know we are capable of. It's so beautiful. And now that you have so many years of experience, you've worked with so many big names, you've taken this on yourself to sort of help the enterprising entrepreneurs in their journey. It's an age where it's full. We are full of unicorns, large corporations. Even survival strategies depend on how these are functioning. So in times like these, what are the survival strategies for? Because you've been mentoring so many early stage entrepreneurs.
There is always this thing of stereotyping that mostly which is done, like or if you want to start something, right, what you would see is there is a leader, which let's call it the lion, or somebody who's like the new age or the extremely successful or who've got a lot of funding and all. There's a unicorn probably. Now you, despite having an intent, despite having a problem solver attitude and everything that you have in your resources, what it does, it pushes you back, and it kinds of tells you is, how will you find your spot here? And that's like we've been too myopic about ourselves, about our and the self-doubt. I mean, to a certain extent, that's a good thing to have, because it gives you, pushes you also for, but too much of it, too much of procrastination. I mean, just think about it. There is always the Almighty has given such variety, and so just to give you another example. If we call the corporate world as a jungle, there is a snake also. There is a chameleon who could be shapeshifters, right, or the color changers, right?
Yes.
And if I tell you in that, and that's purely because it's my mascot in the logo mark. I'm these days building Kickhead.
Yeah.
So how I've found my mascot as zebra. So, and if I ask anybody, I'm going to ask anybody, 90% of people would know Z for zebra, would know a zebra crossing, and there's nothing beyond that they know about it, right? I was curious enough to basically find out what is it that zebra has. I mean, is that all? What is it? And what I identified was that it has the world's most powerful kick.
Is
And
that
you won't
so?
know, yeah, and you won't believe there is a scientific measurement also for it.
Really?
And the second one is a kangaroo, and then
Ah.
there is a giraffe. I just thought of it. Why in the world the Almighty would give a zebra,
The most
which
powerful
is
kick.
look like
Yeah.
a mutant of. Uh, oh. And then that got me thinking, just what kind of an environment that it lives in. So it faces its predator every day,
Oh,
right?
that's
And
the reason.
look at so it faces every day, and then it doesn't stops there. It doesn't stop there. That it has the most powerful kick. I mean, it ऐसी kick कि मतलब शेर का जबड़ा तोड़ दे वहाँ पे.
अच्छा.
But the other
Really?
thing is that it has, though zebras earlier were all whites basically, because it's a um, and over a period of time, because of a certain flea which is found, which is very dangerous in Africa, they kind of got those stripes.
Develop those stripes.
But
okay.
the other fact about zebra is that no two zebras are the same.
Have the same stripes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. I've
So
read
that's
that.
so. Look at it. The nature
Oh,
has made it so unique. It's like our fingertip,
yeah.
fingerprint, right?
Yes.
And what it does is that if the lion or that predator herd which is there, they live, they're very social, and they live in herd. So what they do is they come closer. So when they come closer, the stripes which are there, they kind of create a optical illusion.
Wow.
So the tiger cannot attack, but it doesn't know where to attack.
Oh.
Now just think about it. A very insignificant. I've just talked about such an insignificant, which the
Creature,
world
maybe
even
in the jungle,
don't.
yeah.
So likewise, uh, enterprising people have to find those. I wouldn't say
Stripes.
superpowers, but the stripes.
That kick.
Yeah. The stripes
That
or
kick.
or the power, the uniqueness, which is there in everyone. You will live forever in the self-doubt, but the day you find that, then it doesn't matter. But today it has become inevitable. There's way too complexity in this VUCA world. You have to be enterprising.
Absolutely.
And what you cannot do is, it's such a, if you're holding yourself back, that's such a injustice that you are doing
To the talents that you have.
Yeah.
I believe.
So just to sum it up, that took it too long to I would say that the jungle, the corporate jungle, there is a space for everyone. All you need to do is you need to identify the power. You have to identify that uniqueness, the distinctiveness, and that will work. Zebra can survive every day against the predator.
So true.
It is a self-belief, basically, the confidence, because the one single thing which I kind of realized over a long period of time, the most powerful thing is the grit part of it, and which is like, despite adversity, despite being pushed back, you need to get up and try again. That's the only way. The consistency of trying again.
That's so true.
It warns other, whoever the competition or whatever it is, whatever the wall is.
Sure. So, talking about thriving, there's another thing that I've noticed, and I feel that probably this is something else that works for businesses. It's like customers instantly, if they fall in love with your product or your service that you're offering, it becomes actually a game changer.
Yeah.
So
I've seen some startups, they're in their initial stages of the journey, and there's this immediate love affair that they are able to create with their customers.
yeah.
I'm really not sure how that magic happens. How are they able to do that? What happens? What goes behind this?
But let's squeeze it and let's look at 2020 after. And I would say these are the defining things which are kind of setting the tone or the world order. When we say that, it is not by luck. I mean, there can be very rare, can be.
Such cases.
There's lot of hard work and there's lot of things which have gone into place. So the first thing is the change in order is it's a behavioral science. How well have you understood for whom what you're creating, right? And it's not. It doesn't. It's not about the need and want and I mean what you've done some in 90s and like that. It is a deeper level of decoding, right? Which is so that's number one section. Okay, but it doesn't stop. I mean, you cannot just on that. People might say that we're talking about insight, but no, I'm talking about much more than that. So that's the behavioral science part of it. You need to couple it with few more things. That's where the creativity comes in, right? The second important pillar. That comes in purely because, I mean, if you see at the age of 19 or somebody at 25 becoming millionaire, billionaire, I mean, their resources would have been very restricted to what a corporate house or others didn't have that. I mean, they would have all the access to all the arsenal which is possible, right? But if somebody else is doing, so there's lack of resources. And this is where the creativity comes in. It's a problem-solving tool. Where there is lack of resources, how to find a way out, and finding a way that too which is novel. You cannot go there and try things which have already been done.
So you're saying behavioral science matters so much that helps entrepreneurs understand their demands.
Let me illustrate you with few examples, and I'm going to talk about some very different from various angles. And this is I'm talking about. Let's look at the world which changed after 2020. So there's this term which probably, I mean, I didn't knew it before that one. It's called athleisure. Athleisure, right? Now, if you ask anybody, which will say a layman or a common everyone, they would say it's an active wear or a sporting. But Lululemon is a brand who completely revolutionized it. Yoga, which is kind of like owned by India, but actually it is those yoga pants. They have more than I think 100 SKUs into it, and but it happened because there was a certain phenomenal change which was, I mean, you were captive and there was nothing to be done, and everything was turning remote, and so that's where this whole emergence of a new thing which came in. But it didn't sit there completely as yoga. And so what really took off was that people realized, I mean, they always knew about the importance of health and fitness and all that, but especially people 28 and above who are kind of realizing that they're going to cross 30, which is the age barrier. They wanted something which would extend more, right? And that's why you look at all athleisure products. There's a kind of a elasticity in their fabric. So it's like extending, giving elasticity to your youthfulness.
Oh, is that the thought behind it? Oh God.
So
maybe.
And the code for athleisure is basically movement. The second one that I would say is, and that's one of my favorite one. And because everything is 90s, and those were the days, the cinema basically. But if you look at Indian cinema, and currently in the context that it's talked about, now that there's Netflix, there's Hotstars, and there's so many Sony Lives and OTT, which is all there. So what has really happened? What has changed? Why is that everyone is binge watching various things, and why is that there is certain decline in the cinema? Of course, there was a certain reason why they didn't go at that time. Why is that it hasn't resumed to that level? I haven't seen a movie in last four years. I haven't gone to a cinema hall. The life that we led at that point of time was quite grounded and very real. What we seeked was an alternate reality. And that's what Indian cinema was. There was the angry young man, and then so many other phenomena which came in, the chocolate boy, the romance of Yash Chopra movies, Karan Johar, then so many others who were coming in, right? They defined this. What went wrong? But nothing has gone wrong. All that has happened is, today I kind of like have a belief that I live more an artificial life. Like कि मैं computers पे चीज जो मंगा रहा हूँ, मतलब वो चीजें बदल गई, तो अब मैं चाह रहा हूँ चीजें
वैसी हो जाए
जो बहुत रियल हो.
So do you think an expert coming in, someone like you who's a branding expert,
not just, I would say,
does that help growing entrepreneurs? Because it's very important for them to understand what their customer needs. So how can they solve this problem? I
would say that's what the entrepreneurship journey is about: collaboration. It is about building. It's like it is said that you have to create a village. Right? It takes a village to create something,
yes,
right?
So true.
So not just the branding, but you need multifaceted talents. Even if the resources are not there, or you do not have, I mean, there are various ways. There is this whole thing about fractional CTOs, fractional chief operating officers, all that which is
CBOs.
Now today are available. As you realize this thing as early as you could be in the game, I mean, thick in the game.
So true. So interestingly, that is what we do at Zawter. And yes, we have a diamond-studded panel of our experts. And here with us, we have someone who's so passionate about creative thinking. Tell us how creative thinking can help an entrepreneur carve a niche for themselves in today's world.
It's a combination of things, but just to illustrate to you, what you have to do is basically, again, I'm talking about the 2020 post. Mindfulness has become, or the wellness category has become so big, as if this didn't happen before. It always happened, right? But two players, if I give you an example of Headspace and Calm, for example, so global billion-dollar players. Now, yes, the world has turned into it's volatile, it's complex, it's uncertain, it's ambiguous and all that, and that creates in us that kind of anxiety, that anxiousness, so which is happening as a phenomena, right? Now, all that you knew as, I mean, within your tap of pool of people, family, and others, you would know that spirituality could help, mindfulness would help, or meditation would do a lot. So this we knew from in India, you would say thousands of years, right? Thousands of years
Right,
it's
right.
been done.
So these brands did.
But what happened is, despite not knowing this, we don't get into it. So what they did is, what these people did was, they just made it easy.
Sure, yes.
They're saying, you want to do meditation, you don't need to do it the grill part of it. Right?
We've made it simpler for you.
So it's become in bite size.
We've made it simpler for you.
Yeah.
So we've broken it down for you to understand how it works properly.
And and the thing is, they're not claiming that we will make you Gautam Buddha. But here is the beauty of those entrepreneurs and those minds and those teams which work with. What they do is, they help you kickstart that, and when you get into it, that is when you can you realize that whether I want to go deeper into it, and I find my way into it.
So you find a right fit, you solve the right problem, and if that clicks with your audience, is where you find your niche. And I think a lot of thought goes into how creatively to solve that problem for your client.
Another one is, I mean, which I talked about, like I said, say, the very famous, anybody who would want to enter into, say, a carbonated drink market. If they see Coca-Cola, which has been there for 100 years, Pepsi, which has been there everywhere, to the extent that it's not allowed in schools, also it's there.
It's still there, yes.
And in hospitals also, and everywhere where they should not be, they're all there. How would an entrepreneur look at this thing? But that's somebody who said, okay, now this is sold in 10 rupee or a 15 rupee in a bottle, and it's got a little sugary, and it's got fizz and all. But somebody who said, why can't I change the format? Why does it need to taste this way? Why does it needs to be in a bottle? Why can't it be in a can? Why should it be so affordable? And that's where Red Bull was born.
Oh yes,
right.
So true. Yes.
So these are certain examples that I could think of, that how, despite not really seeing a way or a space for themselves, what was it? So it was, I think, that whole resistance of the world saying there is no space for you. I think that worked so much for
so true. So true.
And likewise, all entrepreneurs should look at those things. It's when we are really pushed back, but that's when I think we get more alive. And that's where we start thinking and that
start thinking differently. So true. Wonderful, Asif. So you spoke about creative thinking, and it's so important to have those creative ideas coming in, and not just a creative idea. I believe an idea that resonates with your customer, the brand that a company is building. So it's so important in today's time, especially for startups, to build that name for themselves. So how can an entrepreneur ensure that they are building a brand that sets them apart, especially for startups where it's so difficult in the beginning because they have to be frugal, they're struggling to manage their resources. How do they ensure that, while they're not too overstretched, they still manage to invest a decent time and energy and money as well on building a brand that could, maybe become a legacy.
Entrepreneur or any startup have to absolutely understand this fact that it's a mind share that, I mean, before they get the wallet share, it is the mind share.
So true.
So there is a space
Yes.
that you have to occupy. So that's number one. Now, unless and until you're not distinct, I'm not talking about differentiation. So I'm saying, even because these days there are so many products and services which are out there are not really that much differentiated, but distinct. When I say distinct, I say if this mug was a red color, that kind of, without saying that, we have associations of Nescafe, or that red and yellow circles coming together. I don't need to. I mean, they have dropped the name, which is MasterCard.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Right. So what these are, and what these are, not just the logo, which is what most of the startups kind of think. That's where branding is it's a whole lot of thing that you do, where marketing, advertising, communication, and various things which you do at various touch points, which till the last mile.
Even people, for that matter.
And the service even.
The service.
Right. We have a
service
situation
centers,
of Ola right now, Ola
Yes.
Electrics and Zomatos and those. How you come across at these touch points is what matters in branding. And unless and until you don't have a stand, right, which has to be backed by, like I said, behavioral study, behavioral research, or there is some kind of a innovation edge that you have. Let's talk about Lenskart. If you are a startup, I mean, there is always a lack of resources. So what you got to do is, you got to do whatever that resources is, you got to approach it like a sniper. It has to be that clear, okay, this is the part that I'm currently taking care of it, and I'll do it to the best, and I will build it on. What you cannot do is that I'll build this and expect that it will give me leverage. No, you have to keep building.
Keep nurturing it, keep attending to it, and that's wonderful, Asif. So, this got me thinking that when startups scale up, when they're on that growth journey, they go berserk, expansion, even legacy businesses for that matter, they take it to the next level, penetration into newer markets. That's when, they face challenges across domains, be it finance, be it technology, be it operations. There's always this pulling of strings and releasing of strings that happens, and they try to keep it together. And in those times, it's also very important that when it comes to their brand, their voice is just one message that is being sent across all platforms. So how do such businesses at this growth journey ensure that everything is in place, this growth journey is smooth?
Scaling definitely is the second mountain or the second peak, I mean, for any entrepreneur or a startup. Like starting off, the kick-starting the whole process, whether you have an idea or you have a vision or just a MVP or anything like that, or you want to solve a problem. Now, the thing with scaling is that the interpretation of that is purely because what you see, what's the outlook out there, what you find is that you get so influenced by it that you think that scaling is like a sprint, as if I do a 100-meter dash. So if I ask you, even you would be ready to undertake, despite or me, despite I'm not in the best of my physical strength or health, but if you ask me to run against Usain Bolt, I would do that. But just think of it. If I say, can you do a marathon? That's it, right? And the marathon is a mixture of sprints. So that's the first thing. That's very important in any startup or an entrepreneur culture. The second thing is that this whole thing of soul, that because we've grown up with like the superheroes stories and those angry young men. So we think startup is about heroism, like one person. It is absolutely not.
So true.
Right? You have to let your ego go off. You have to collaborate and cooperate with various set of people, and that's exactly like the whole importance of Zawter that comes in, that such a service that you're doing for the people who have actually undergone those stages, who have seen that, while the entrepreneur or the startup do not know anything about it. You don't know what you don't know.
So true.
That's the kind of a situation
Yes,
you are
don't
in.
know what you don't
So
know.
therefore, you would need, I wouldn't say the other person has an answer, but he has, if has gone through those stages, could be a better fit for that.
So true.
Therefore, you should seek help, and you should have this thing in you of asking.
So true. So true.
Right? That makes a game change. That's a game changer. And those were the
Seek
things
help.
that they. So asking, ask.
So true.
There's a power in it.
Yes,
If
so
you
true.
if you wholeheartedly ask anybody, we are in. It's ingrained in us that we would like to help.
Help. So true. So true. That's exactly
Yeah.
what the ethos of Zawter
Yeah.
is, because we're trying to build that ecosystem for growing
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. Asif, talking of thriving,
Yeah.
there's always this buzzword, innovation.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to do something different. कुछ नया करना है, कुछ
Yeah.
different करना है, and technology, for that matter, is an enabler there. But my question to you is, how can someone be different? Because there will always be someone who's done that before me. So what is it about innovation and a thriving business that one should keep in mind?
So now again, a misplaced understanding, and so first of all, innovations is misread as inventions. Right? Invention starts from like starting creating. Innovation is an incremental gain. And if you really ask anybody or look at your own self, we are so, as human, we are so we resist change. So then what is that mix, or what is that axis on which anybody can ride on? So there's this something very interesting that I read, and I would say that formula is called Maya, the most advanced and yet acceptable.
Oh,
so
okay.
what is it? So what it is actually saying is, if there is there is this fanciness and there is this whole heroism that comes with the game changes and all, but all that world is asking is not really, what is more familiar, like at the first end, and so it shouldn't be so advanced that I feel overwhelmed with it, right? And yet, it has to stand out on this distinctive. So that is where that complexity or the drudgery of what entrepreneurs go through it, but it doesn't need to be.
This was such a wonderful conversation. First of all, I'd say this was such an insightful conversation. Thank you so much for taking out the time, sharing your insights with us. But थोड़ा सा वर्क जोन से अगर हम बाहर निकले and we
yeah,
walk into a personal zone,
yeah,
and I know that there is another side to your
yeah,
personality. I've read about
yeah,
Romani Zindagi,
yeah,
and you're so fond of
yeah,
food, films, and spoken words.
yeah,
So tell me, I mean, I'm sure that
yeah,
has somehow shaped
yeah,
the way you think,
yeah,
the creativity that flows out of you. Tell me more about
yeah.
it.
So it again boils down to my childhood,
Hmm.
and the one question that I dreaded always was that when somebody would ask, "What's your hobby?"
Oh,
I was
you dreaded that question?
Yeah, I dreaded that. I didn't knew, but I thought having fun with friends or playing sports is active sports. I was more into cricket and hockey, and this is what I played mostly my school times and college also. But uh, because I understood there's a difference between a hobby and vocation and job and all that.
Of course. Yes.
There's a lot of
There's a
difference
lot of
in it, right?
difference, yes.
Something that you're passionate about, that you don't care for the money sake, but then you keep doing it. Well, I never had it in my early stage, and I realized it much later, and especially when I entered into a field where my whole anything my output were dependent upon my experiences or my influences. So if you've done an MBA in 2000 or 99, what is that you are inputting? What is that the input which is going in that will kind of shape
Shape
certain
you as a
perceptions
person.
or so for the heck of that, I kind of put myself, and I'm saying that thing to everyone who is an entrepreneur, that you need to be that interesting, right? Just to be interesting enough, uh, I, I I kind of like developed this whole thing of I wasn't into that much of movies. I wasn't into food, so I've watched every series of MasterChef.
Really?
I've done the masterclass of Gordon Ramsay, and I've watched so many others. You asked me about food. I even tried and failed starting a startup called Handi Tehzeeb, right?
Arey, really?
And spoken word is purely because I saw that thing in my family, that my dadi, who wasn't even didn't go to college or go and used to be behind the wheel, would
Right.
was so eloquent and so that she had a whole मतलब एक नज्म थी कि
Arey,
how
that's
she
so
wanted that
beautiful.
after her death, how she wanted the whole
Oh.
treatment to be done, and and there was this तुकबंदी जो होती थी, ये सब मतलब हमारे घरों में बहुत ज्यादा थी वहां
अच्छा.
पर. तो वो, and then there was some cultural change also in India that was happening, so I could see some certain events and all. So this is where I invested myself into. And what it did was that it kind of changed my whole perception and the quality of my work, my input to it, and yeah.
Wow.
So that's
That's so.
actually, I would say, yeah, it is such a must.
So true. So true.
And
Finding
yeah,
inspiration from the things
yeah,
that you love.
yeah.
And I know you write as well.
Yeah.
So कुछ अगर आपने लिखा है तो
Yeah.
I would love you to, I mean,
So-
love for you to say it today.
Yeah. So the whole story is, but it's just in very short month. I wanted to be because, like I said, Piyush Pandey is what I followed. So definitely, he was a writer. I wanted to be a writer, but again, I didn't get a chance, or nobody would give me a break. And then the easiest for me was that I got into account management and strategy and all those things, where I did exceptionally well. But I had a great run in Ogilvy, JWTs, and other places. So also, I mean, it was kind of an injustice on my own self that I didn't follow it. But I realized much later that I have that streak in me, and that's when the first thing that I wrote is what I would like to narrate to you.
Yes.
So it says कि मैंने इस तरह से कहा था, अर्ज किया है कि
इरशाद
न अजीम व शान हूँ, मतलब कोई बादशाह या कोई न महफिल की जान हूँ। महफिल मतलब दोस्तों के बीच में, मतलब आप न अजीम व शान हूँ, न महफिल की जान हूँ, न धुरंधर, कोई मतलब बहुत मतलब
the best goat,
या मतलब ना ही सिकंदर। न अजीम व शान हूँ, न महफिल की जान हूँ, न धुरंधर, न कोई सिकंदर, बस हूँ तो हूँ, अपनी माँ की आंखों का नूर हूँ, बस हूँ तो हूँ, अपनी माँ की आंखों का नूर हूँ, गुरूर हूँ। दबी ख्वाहिश लिए भीड़ में शामिल हूँ, दबी ख्वाहिश लिए इस भीड़ में शामिल हूँ, काबिल हूँ। तो कहना ये चाह रहा हूँ कि all that matters at the end of it is the ability and intent.
So true, so
and
true.
that's
So
where
beautiful.
This was the first thing that I wrote when I said I wanted to write.
So
so I said why I wanted to write. So this is what I wrote.
वाह वाह, तो बनती है, वाह वाह।
थैंक यू। ये भी एक ऐसी चीज है जिसने मुझे काफी, मतलब जैसे होता है ना कि आपकी लाइफ में कोई टर्निंग पॉइंट जो होता है, ये काफी मतलब 2011 की बात है शायद, या उससे पहले की बात।
वेरी ब्यूटीफुल, एंड आई थिंक दिस थॉट रेजोनेट्स विद नॉट जस्ट एंटरप्रेन्योर्स। अभी हम बात कर रहे थे, आपने कहा था कि यू नो दिस इज व्हाट शायद एंटरप्रेन्योर्स रेजोनेट। आई थिंक दिस इज समथिंग दैट एवरीवन कैन रिलेट टू। हर किसी के मन में वो दबी सी ख्वाहिश है, दे वुड वांट इट टू कम आउट इन सम वे और द अदर। एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन, सो if this is a fun question, so if branding were to be a soundtrack, okay, what are the top 3 songs that come to your mind?
Okay, so I have strange choices of so आपने इस तरह से पूछ लिया है तो, but anyway, so there is this song called the fight song, my life song by Rachel Platten. What she talks about is basically how a ship can create a ripple in the ocean, or a match can create a fire. So, which is about resilience that you talk about. That's a great value which is always required in the whole business of branding. So that's one which is consistently chase things and do it. The second one is that, though it's pretty old, but he's expected in India soon here. Brian Adams, say, everything I do it for you.
Yes.
That's a beautiful
beautiful
love
song.
ballad.
Yes.
But when I say this, why I'm talking to in connection with it is about human connection that he's talking about.
So true.
Right. So these are the two, and the third one is one of my favorite also. Imagine Dragon, Believer, or Thunder. Yes. I think Believer is a better Believer.
Yes, Believer.
And that's purely because what it talks about is you are this master of your sea, or what he's saying, that there will always be adversities. That's the game that you have decided to play, being an entrepreneur or starting a startup. So, but what you need to do is how you overcome that, and that can come from belief.
So true. So true. That's right? Beautiful.
Because that beliefs create behavior.
Yes.
And from that behavior, you do the business part.
Yes, that's how impact happens.
Yeah.
And I guess this reminds me of a quote by Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
He said, people don't buy what you do.
Yeah.
They buy why you do it.
Yeah.
And that is, I guess, what
the golden circle. Yeah.
The golden circle of start with your why.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what creating a great brand is all about. And so many of your insights were attuned to these thoughts that come from legends. Thank you so much, Asif, for sharing so many stories, so many anecdotes, so many inspirational incidents, and making this a wonderful conversation. It was a pleasure having you on CXO.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pleasure here.
Thank you.